Hey guys, this is TheInterloper and welcome to my new Let's Play of Shadowrun Returns. After finishing Final Fantasy Tactics, I was kind of still in the mood for doing some more tactics-like gameplay, and this really does fit the bill. Slightly differently, I'd say, because there's no real grid or anything to work with. It's very, like, freeform, but it's still turn-based, and it's all about, like, how you position your units, how you use your abilities, etc. But, for those of you not familiar with the Shadowrun universe, it's very, like, future cyberpunk mixed with magic. It's a very cool premise, I have to say. The general premises and how it all started is in a world, in our world, like, not too long ago, there was an awakening of magic that happened, and a bunch of humans started becoming more, started being born as elves and dwarves as the cause of that magical awakening, and eventually we started getting trolls and orcs and stuff like that too. So, that doesn't mean that they're, like, you know, evil or anything by nature. They just happen to look different. They have different tendencies. You know, it's not like being an orc makes you like stupid and brainless or anything like that. You know, just different kind of human, basically. But they do look very different. They have their strengths and weaknesses. So yeah, other kinds of creatures also pop up. Humans start getting access to magic and weird occult-like stuff. So it really opens up, like, how you can make your character in ways that other RPGs tend not to be able to do. Also, the cyberpunk stuff, futuristic stuff, is also very cool. Like, there's a Matrix-like program that's like a VR, virtual reality, basically. So you can do some hacking and stuff. There's like little sections dedicated specifically for hacking if you have a hacker in your party. Sometimes it's necessary. The basic premise, though, beyond that, is that you are a Shadowrunner, and the people in your party are also Shadowrunners. You take jobs from anonymous employers who send somebody in their stead to give them jobs. Usually, it's to try to sabotage, like, another company, because it's a very corporate-focused future that Shadowrun is placed in. So big corporations over big government, you could say. And all those corporations are vying for power. The strongest ones, of course, are always, like, buying off Shadowrunners to keep their opposition in check. So it's very cool, very dynamic. Lots of backstabbing and stuff. I really like the setting a lot. I actually haven't played the tabletop game that this game is based off of, but I've really enjoyed the Shadowrun Returns games. This is the first of 3. It's also the shortest one, but it's also great if you're new to the series in general. The first campaign's not too hard, but once you get past that, even if you were kind of like on the campaign for this one, the next one, Shadowrun Dragonfall, is incredible, and I highly recommend it. So, not to say that the first campaign is bad, it's actually pretty good. And it also helps, like, you know, get an idea of how to play, how everything works, because if you're no stranger to D&D or other tabletop games, it's equally as complicated as those, if not a little bit more so. But that's what I'm here for. I'm going to be spending this whole episode building my character and explaining my thought process as I go along. So hopefully that'll help you guys understand how this game plays. Let's go ahead and start our new game. We only have one campaign available to us. Technically, we could download other campaigns that other people have made, but you know, as they've made more of these Shadowrun games in the recent past, people have probably been making campaigns for the newer clients anyways, so no point in doing those. Just going to do the main campaign. And that is one thing I really do like about the fact that they really support third-party content. Like, they even have their own campaign editor that you can mess around with and make your own Shadowrun games. So we have a choice of a few difficulties here. Easy, of course, is not something we want to do. It's basically no challenge at all. Normal tends to be what I play. Kind of lets you play any kind of character and not really be punished for it. Not to say that there's no challenge, there definitely is, especially later on in the game. But it also doesn't like punish you for, you know, just trying to roleplay more than anything. Hard is probably what you want to do if you've played Shadowrun before and are very familiar with it, I'd say. And you have like an idea for how you want to build your character and stuff. And then very hard is if you're just masochistic. We're just going to do normal. Because I really just enjoy the experience of these games, but I don't want it to be too easy, you know. So just do normal, and let's continue on to the character creation. Here we go. Gender, male or female. There's no real difference here other than like some roleplay here and there, especially in this first campaign. I'm just gonna do male this time around. Now we have our races here. We have the humans. They were the only race on Earth till the Awakening in 2012, which is what I was talking about. Now they find themselves the definition of average or even normal. They are still the most populous race in the world and thus control many of the most powerful, moneyed, and important positions in society. So they're pretty much middle of the road. They have a maximum of 9 in every stat that they can get to as they're leveling. Other races can have less or more than that, depending on what they're specialized in. Like the troll here, they can get up to 17 body and 15 strength, so they can be extremely tanky, do really well in melee combat, but in other areas, they're really lacking. Like their intelligence and their charisma is not so great if you're trying to go late game, like Mage, for example. Yeah, humans pretty solid. They also get extra karma to start the game, and karma is what you use to spend on your skills as you're progressing through the campaign. So starting off with more karma is also nice, just to give you a nice little boost. Elves. Many people, especially other metahuman races, see elves as the most fortunate metahumans. They are more attractive and socially acceptable than the other metahumans. Elves are taller than humans, but have a more slender build. Their hair is usually thicker, longer, and more luxurious than average, and their ears come to a point. So basically like any other elves you've seen. Very attractive, slender, pointy ears. They get a natural bonus to their charisma because they are very pretty. And they also have higher stat maximums than humans do. Because they have more quickness, they can have much higher charisma. And everything else is still 9. Of course, the downside is they don't get the extra karma to begin with. So that's something to keep in mind, depending on what you want to go for. So humans tend to start off very strong and stay strong. Elves just have more potential. And then we have the Dwarves here. Dwarves are the shortest of the metahuman races. To compensate, their torsos and shoulders are wider than the size would indicate. Thus, their strength is equal to, and sometimes greater than, the larger races. A side effect of their metahuman nature is increased resistance to pathogens and magic that attacks from within. Alright, so basically that just translates they get +1 to willpower. There's different kinds of magic in the game. There's magic that affects you physically, and then there's magic that can attack you from the inside, so it kind of like bypasses like physical resistances. Willpower helps fight off those like internal, like the magic that like tries to hit you internally. Usually mages have really high willpower because of that, so they're like resistant to magic, direct magic attacks. But indirect is much better against them. But you don't want to use indirect spells against bulkier characters. because they'll probably be more resistant to it. Just like they can be more resistant to sword attacks or bullets, but they're more vulnerable to direct magic attacks because they didn't put a lot of points into willpower. Sorry if that was a little confusing, but it's kind of trying to showcase like the strengths and weaknesses of certain character types here. Got the Orcs here. Orcs are the fastest breeding race, big surprise, and now are second only to humans of world population. Their size leads to an intimidating silhouette and a body that can take more physical damage than the average. Orcs have pointed ears and intimidating teeth or tusks, so they get a +1 to body right away. Oh yeah, I was gonna say here, for the Dwarves, you know, they also have higher stat totals than the humans, but they also lack the karma boost, so that's gonna be a noticeable trend for a lot of these characters. So likewise, Orcs have a much higher body total than normal. Their strength can be quite high as well. Their intelligence and charisma is a little bit lower than normal, but you know, they still are highly capable in almost anything. I personally like the Orcs quite a bit. Then again, I also am a little biased. I like Orcs in just about every game I play, so. And then we have the Trolls here. Trolls are the largest metahuman race. Heavy prejudice against them has led people to assume Trolls have lowered intelligence, but in reality, there is no proof of this. Trolls have pointed ears, intimidating teeth, or tusks, and many have horn-like growths that other metahumans do not manifest. So, they get a pretty big bonus. They get +1 to body and to strength, which is great. Of course, like I said again, their potential max in other areas like charisma, intelligence, and quickness is lower than normal. That isn't to say they can't be any character type that you want. You can certainly make a troll mage. It's just that later game, yeah, they're gonna fall behind compared to other people. So yeah, I mean, a 6 intelligence is still very good. They're still gonna be very smart, considering most people only have like a 1 or 2 in any particular stat. Talking about general populace here in the world of Shadowrun. So yeah, probably just gonna pick one that I feel like playing. Probably just gonna do an Orc. I haven't done an Orc yet in this campaign. And then we have our archetypes here. They're basically our classes, though we can customize our character as we wish if we want to choose and go through ourselves, which we're probably gonna do. Oh, excuse me. But let me go over the archetypes, because theirs are pretty standard. So you got our street samurai. They're a freelance operative who follows a code of street honor. They are learned in the ways of the traditional samurai warrior and in the practices of modern combat. Samurai sell their skills for profit and work to take out the dishonorable scum that seem to breed in the urban sprawl. Key attributes: body and strength or quickness. So yeah, it'll tell you like what each archetype would need in terms of attributes and what skills they would start off with and would be good with having. So yeah, street samurais are basically the equivalent of like your warriors. I mean, depending on what you want to do per se, you can go with guns, or you can go with melee weapons, or you can go with a mix of both. Really depends on what you want to do. But yeah, they're one of the few archetypes that don't use magic whatsoever. They're solely reliant on their physical stats, the gear, and the what was I gonna say? Yeah, and like their cybernetic implants, because that's the thing. Cybernetic implants are usually not very good for mage classes, because cybernetics take away from a character's essence, and every character has like a starting essence value at max, but as you put in cybernetics, they take away from that essence value, because it's kind of like taking away your humanity, and that's how you culminate, how you draw your magic is like, you know, the fact that you're alive. So yeah, spend your essence to give yourself increases in stats if you don't care about magic at all. We'll get into that at some point, because they're very useful for non-mages. Of course, we got our mage here. Mages specialize in the casting of spells that that doesn't mean that they can't shoot guns as well. Rather, magic is the center of their life. Their spells reflect a pure balance in the manosphere, and cover a wide range of magical effects, from offensive magic attacks to character augmentation or degradation spells to healing spells. Yeah, mages can fulfill a bunch of different roles in your party. Of course, they mainly want to focus on their spell casting and their willpower, and intelligence for that matter. But, you know, beyond that, they can be very varied. Their spells are very powerful. You don't have too many of them. You can't have too many of them equipped at a time, but if you carry a good mix of them, you can almost always get out of any situation. So I like, depending on how your party is set up, you probably want to have some support spells to keep your bruiser type characters, the ones that aren't casting magic all the time, buffed and healed. And then you want to have some direct damage for when you're not doing that. Again, depends on how you want to build it. Kind of like the wizard in D&D and any other game for that matter. Decker. Deckers use a cyber deck to jack into the Matrix, the worldwide information grid and computer network. By projecting their minds into the electronic world, Deckers can find secrets others keep hidden away. They use programs and expert systems to fight off the protections that megacorporations place in their way. They use intelligence. Their key skill is decking, which is basically hacking, and their key specialization is expert systems. So how they work is, when they're out in the real world fighting with your party, they're basically just kind of shafted street samurai in a way. You can usually like get them good with like one type of gun, so they can at least do something. But once you find a place that you can hack into, your decker is who you're going to be relying on the most for that. Depending on how good they are, they can summon other programs while they're in the Matrix to help them hack into security, because you can consider the cyberspace to be like another battleground that you're having to fight on, and it's only your decker fighting, so he's relying on his programs to kind of give him support and take out the enemy AI. So it's a cool mechanic. It's even better in the next two games, because they're still kind of fleshing out like how they want to do stuff in this game, but you'll see what I mean. It's an interesting part of the game, and you definitely want to have at least one decker on your party just for that. So we got your shaman here. Shamans believe that their magic come from a great totem spirit that guides their life path: bear, cat, coyote, eagle, or raccoon. Shamans' relationships with their totems allow them to summon spirits and command them to do their bidding. Shaman have the skill to conjure spells that mages cannot. It's very interesting. Their key attribute is charisma, and their key skill is spirit summoning, which gives them a pretty big totem benefit, and conjuring. So basically you choose one spirit animal that you want to be focused on, and that kind of determines your playstyle with your shaman, and what kind of summons will bring out, and stuff like that. Basically, they tried to turn They try to turn the tide in your favor by summoning extra characters for you to control and fight with, and to give your party buffs, debuffs, and they have a little bit of like damage potential as well. Yeah, they mostly rely on their spirits. They have a very different feel from mages, in my opinion. So I'd definitely give one a try if you like the idea of that. They have different spell pool, so if you have like a couple spaces open for like mage-like characters, I'd take one mage and one shaman. See what you like better. And then you got your riggers here. Riggers use cybertech to jack their mind into and control small robot-like creatures called drones. Riggers use their rigging abilities to provide surveillance, support, and extra firepower when required. Use intelligence, key skill is drone control, and its key specialization is drone combat. kind of like the shaman, these riggers rely a lot on supplemental like bodies. Like they basically add more characters to your party that you can fight with. In this case, they use drones, which are pretty much these flying mechs that can shoot and stuff. But instead of spells, they have the ability to rig like different kinds of mechs and security systems and stuff that the hacker normally couldn't do. Like instead of Matrix type stuff, they're more into like the hardware and robots and stuff like that. It's very cool. You don't need one in your party, but it helps a lot in certain situations to have them. Kind of like the shaman is not required, but helpful. Really, if you're talking about necessity, your decker is probably the only one you actually need, and then beyond that, you just need somebody like, you know, can take some damage, deal some damage, control the battlefield, etc. Then you got your physical adept here. Adepts are magically active characters who focus their magic internally to develop to their utmost potential, physically, mentally, and spiritually. As adepts unlock new abilities, they become honed physical machines, using their magic to enhance their close combat abilities. These are pure melee deeps characters, and they can also be very tanky with their spells. Think of them as battle mages, basically. Not a whole lot of offense from their spells per se, but they have a lot of personal buffs, and they're very cool. They're basically, think of like Neo in like the last two Matrix films, like they're just super powered, all up in your face, kicking your ass. I really like them. And then of course, if we don't like just going with one of these archetypes, we can click on none and pick for ourselves, which is what we're gonna do. That said, let's see what kind of character we want to make. Got a bunch of portraits here and palette swaps, depending on what we want to do. That said, I am going to follow one of these archetypes because I just want to allocate the points myself. So, because of that, I'm thinking I want to make a... Might do a rigger. I think I like the sound of that. We're gonna do a rigger. So our character likes using mechs pretty much. Drones and the like. Need to find a cool picture here for him though. Not that it matters too much, I suppose. It looks pretty cool. We're not gonna be a bad guy, we just kinda look bad. Hairstyle. I guess we don't have too many choices here. No. Whatever. I'd like to be able to change these, but we'll take it. Alright, let's go look into stats. I don't want this video to last forever. Alright, spending your karma. Karma represents the experience characters earn while running the shadows and achieving goals. Karma is used to improve attributes and skills. An attribute or skill rating can be increased by spending karma equal to the next increment of that rating. Thus, improving your body from 4 to 5 requires you to spend 5 karma points. You have some karma available now to customize your character. Fantastic. Everything starts at 1 since we decided not to choose an archetype, but we do start off with 2 in body no matter what since we're an orc. Good stuff. Alright. So I am aware that our intelligence is a little bit shafted since we're an orc. We can only go up to 8 instead of 9, but it's not too big of a deal. It's actually very unlikely we'll even get up to that point anyways. So let's go put some points in intelligence. Let's see, use some decking and rigging to calculate the chance to hit computer programs or drones. So you definitely want intelligence so your drones hit more often. Also used to reduce the chance to be hit by enemy programs in the Matrix. Matrix part isn't really relevant to us, but as you can see, we have a lot of stuff to look at here and upgrade. Let me go ahead and break it down real quick. So body doesn't have anything tied to it, but it is still very important. You want to have a certain amount of body to start with, so you have more hit points, and you take less damage from attacks. I like having at least 3 in body no matter what kind of character I'm building, because you don't want to just die from a couple hits. I'm actually going to go for 4 points in body, because we're actually going to be fighting quite a bit. So you got quickness here, basically like your dexterity in like D&D and other games. It's used to calculate the chance to hit in ranged combat. Reduces the chance to be hit by enemy physical attacks. It's very good stuff. If you're not making a melee character, you probably want to grab at least some points in quickness so you can use guns effectively. Again, we're going to put some points into that. I'm going to keep it at 3 for now because I'm not really sure what I want to put all my points into yet. But as you're upgrading your attribute scores, it also unlocks the subcategories in that attribute. Because you can't go beyond whatever your attribute score is in your sub-attributes. So if you want to, say, increase range combat to 4, you need to get your quickness to 4. But yeah, this lets you specialize some more. It'll give you bonuses, depending on what you choose here. Like for range combat, main component used to calculate the chance to hit with ranged weapons. Using this skill unlocks special abilities. Definitely want to get some of this, since we're going to be using ranged weapons, obviously. And then beyond that, range combat further breaks down into pistol, SMG, shotgun, and rifle. Again, just like before, you need to have the same amount of points in range combat to get a certain amount of points in one of these categories. So, of the 4 different types here, you have pistol, increases the chance for greater than normal damage when using a pistol, increases the skill on special abilities. Same for SMG, shotgun, and rifle. How they differ in this game is the pistol is generally like mid-range combat. You don't want to be too far or too close. And then they have a lot of disabling type skills here. Like, let's look at these. They get more critical damage. You can get auto reload, which is really freaking nice. If you have problems with AP, because AP action points, AP is action points. AP is what you spend every turn to figure out what your character is going to do. Pistols allow you to shoot more often than other weapons on this list, especially like shotguns and rifles. SMGs are similar. They do more damage, I'd say, but they're less accurate. But pistols, I really like the pistol. It's because it doesn't cost that much AP. You can try to go for critical hits, and you can like aim for certain body parts. Deadeye's nice if you're trying to hit somebody that's hard to hit. Double tap, 2 attacks on the same target. It's pretty good, especially because of the increased crit chance. Got chain shot here, which is probably my favorite ability here. Attack 3 different targets in a single attack. And then, of course, we've got disarm. Forces target to drop their weapon. Also like that too. But we don't get it till really late game, so it's not a big deal. Alright, and then we got SMG here. It's just telling us the max there. SMG is just overall really strong. They just don't get that many special abilities, which is kind of a shame. But I guess it makes up for the SMG's raw power. It's great for short to mid range with the SMG, and you can they also get an aim shot at the very least, which is pretty nice. Increases their chance to hit by 10%. Oh, and they do get something right away if you get SMG. Spray and pray hits adjacent targets, but accuracy is reduced. So you can kind of treat your SMG sometimes like a shotgun. Shotgun always does adjacent damage to adjacent units with the spread. But you can kind of simulate that with SMG every once in a while with spray and pray. So that's pretty nice. Oh yeah, and the pistol starts off with aim shot. I also like this ability a lot, just because it's hard to hit consistently early game. So you start putting points into each of these. Then we got shotgun here. They get kneecap. Kneecap is incredibly good. It does damage to their AP, which you don't get too much often with these weapon skills. So that means that they can't do as much during their turn as they normally would if you kneecap them. Very good stuff. And it also hits multiple targets too, so you can cripple an entire crowd for a turn. Got aim shot here. It's alright. Shotgun usually want to be really close anyways, so this isn't really too relevant, but sometimes it can be pretty clutch. And then you got wide load here. Basically just hits more targets. Instead of just adjacent, it's like a crowd of people. So shotgun's great if you kind of like playing the bruiser type play style and you don't want to do melee. Very good crowd control, basically. And then you got your rifle here. You can think of that as like assault rifles and sniper rifles kind of stuff. They kind of merge them into one category for some reason. But basically, you want to use rifles at longer range, sometimes mid-range, but usually you want to keep them at a distance. So you got aim shot to start with. It's pretty nice. I did not want to grab that. Of course, this is good early game because even with the rifles, it's a little hard to hit from further away. You know, still want to put lots of points into their range tree if you're going rifle. Alright, and then we got burst fire. So for assault rifles, this is good because you do a lot more damage when you're bursting instead of just single shotting. And you got full auto, which pretty much uses your entire clip, but you do a lot of damage at once. These options, I do believe, reduce your accuracy a little bit, though. So if you, it depends on how much health you want to, or how much damage you want to do in a turn. Sometimes you just want to kill something from near full health, and this is a possible way to do it. It's just risky, because if you miss, well, you know. And then we have Deadeye here, increases hit percentage by 20%, which is even better than this. It's basically just another aim shot, since this will make you more consistent with your firing. And then you got Headshot here. Increases chance of critical hit, reduces your accuracy. This is pretty damn amazing. I've like one shot killed so many people with this, so I'm a little biased. Dodge, reduces chance to be hit by physical attacks. It's pretty good. Of course, you'd probably rather avoid damage than rather having to take it. So if you have extra points, there's no harm in putting it into dodge here. That's it. I'm not sure what I'm gonna pick here. We're not gonna go too heavy into these skills because we're a rigger. So let's pick up just something competent without too many points. Let's do SMG. Keep pressing the wrong button. 2 points in SMG for now. We'll come back to it if we need to put more points in. Strength, use to calculate the chance to hit with melee or throwing weapons. So if you're going throwing weapons, that is an option. It's pretty good. And it also scales off of strength, which is pretty nice. Also determines how far a grenade can be thrown. Grenades are great! I highly recommend using grenades if you are in a pinch and you can do a lot of damage to a group. But I'm digressing. Strength potential is pretty good, but we're probably not going to go put any points into this at all, because that's not what we're really going for. But it further breaks down into close combat, which breaks down even further into melee weapons and unarmed. Yeah, it's more personal preference here than anything. Excuse me. But we'll look into it anyways. Melee weapons increases the chance for greater than normal damage when using melee weapons to attack. Using this will also unlock special abilities. If you do melee weapons, you can look forward to Ease Thrust. Increases the HP damage that you do, but it decreases your chance to hit, so it's like a power attack. Pommel Strike, it does only AP damage, but this really cripples a unit for a turn. So if you need somebody just out of the picture for a little bit, Pommel Strike is very good for that. You got Cleave here, which pretty much lets you do AoE damage. Very good ability, especially if you've been whittling a bunch of guys down. Then you got disarm, which does what it says. Very good. You got unarmed. When you're using your fist to attack, you can wound people. Increases your damage by a little bit. It's not great, but it's all right. And you got roundhouse kick. You can strike multiple targets in range, so pretty much like cleave, but it comes sooner. And then of course there's disarm. I'd say that unarmed is generally just straight up worse than melee weapons. Melee weapons get more useful skills, in my opinion. But unarmed is great because it doesn't rely on a weapon. You can't be disarmed, obviously, and you do pretty good damage right from the get-go. You're not reliant on getting better and better gear. It's just straight up solid all the way through. So it really depends on your preference. I just think melee weapons, the melee weapon skill tends to be more useful in general. But up to you. They have their upsides and downsides. Then we got throwing weapons here, of course. If you want to start using grenades, I highly recommend going down this line. As well as like just throwing weapons in general. So yeah, I generally have one person pretty good with throwing weapons on my team. Speaking of which, your team, you don't make your own team, you're just making your whole character at the beginning. You recruit other characters as you're going along in the story, however. Alright, so we've got intelligence here. Obviously we want to have multiple points in this because we're going to be rigging. But that breaks down further into biotech here. Grants a bonus to the hit points recovered when using a med kit. Pretty solid for anybody if you need to just spend points in something. Extra health from med kit is never a bad thing. So nothing too special beyond that though. There's just a few extra things here, like you can see the enemy's HP, which is nice. So having somebody with biotech too, I think, is useful. Just so you have an idea of how much damage you need to do. Then it breaks down further into decking. So if you make a decker character, you definitely want to go down this line because it unlocks your ability to use better decking equipment. Fairlight Excalibur is the best one you'd be looking for if you are a decker. So highly recommend going down this if you're doing that. Not to mention, you get these extra skills while you're in the Matrix, which gives you a better chance of hitting when you're marking the target. Oh, and I'm sorry. This is actually used outside of combat as well. Basically, like, since everyone is pretty much connected to the Matrix with, like, you know, headgear and stuff, you can coordinate with your team to, like, you know, give them better shots, and that's basically how this is being represented here. So, Deckers are also very good at buffing your allies in a sense. So there's that. ESP control increases the power of your Decker's expert systems programs in the Matrix. Definitely put a few points here in your Decker character again, because it makes your allies in the Matrix, the programs that you deploy, more useful. And eventually it becomes too much for just your main hacker dude to handle the Matrix on his own, so you definitely want to keep this going as well. And then we got drone control, which is what we're looking for. Allows the rigger access to more and different drones and abilities, just like with the Decker. It unlocks better drones. Definitely want to grab a couple points here. So we'll have access to the Class C drone. We got B, A, and S. And then drone combat here adds abilities and bonuses to the rigger's drones. These are all basically like stat increases as we're going along. Let's grab a couple points here. Never played a rigger actually, so this is going to be new for me. But should be fun. And then we got willpower here. Use to calculate the chance to hit with magical attacks. Also used to reduce the chance to be hit by enemy magical attacks. So this is your mage stat. So if you're playing a shaman, or not shaman, I'm sorry, shaman's charisma. If you're playing a mage, willpower is your main thing, as well as if you're a physical adept, because they get chi casting here. Again, not going to worry too much about this. It's not important. But if you are a mage, spellcasting is where you want to go. This unlocks your spellbook slots, so you get more spells, access to spells. You can see ley lines, which give you bonuses if you're standing on them to your magic, which are great. And just giving you access to more spells in general. Super nice. Yep, okay. And then you got chi casting here. This is basically giving you access to your spells, because physical adepts don't have too many spells, so they're just given the spells as they level up here. They don't do like research into their spells like mages do. Physical adepts kind of like come into their own as they go along, which is why they are represented here. It's kind of like enhancing their bodies as they learned how to enhance their body in different ways, basically. It's very cool stuff, but not what our character's doing this time. Then we got charisma here, which calculates the chance to control spirits, increases the chance to hit with conjuring spells, unlocks etiquettes that affect conversations. Charisma is very important no matter who you are playing, especially if you are building your main character. Your main character wants charisma no matter what, because it changes how you interact with people in the game, what options you have available, so you can convince people, or you can like have insight into a certain topic to give you different dialogue choices later on, or different events that happen. And part of that comes from choosing etiquettes. Etiquettes are as about knowing how to behave in various social situations. The right etiquette can give you an edge in certain conversations. We can choose an etiquette from the list below. It does not cost karma, and each etiquette can only be chosen once. So, depending on what we choose here is like kind of shows like what our character knows about what we're comfortable talking about, and what kind of topics we can like add some intrigue to. So, I kind of like to leave this like as a roleplay decision. So like if I like say my character was like has been a Shadowrunner for a while now, he's like or he like personally knows other Shadowrunners that have given him like, you know, tales of their exploits and stuff. Well, Shadowrunner would be a good etiquette for them because you know, they have a background in that topic. Same with all these other ones. So my character's a rigger. So I'm thinking he probably worked for security. He knows how to control drones, how to you know, like look over security systems and hardware. So it makes sense that he go into security, or corporate for that matter. He could have been working for a corporation or something. But let's go with security here. And you get more as you put more points in the charisma. I think it's like every 2 points here. So you get really good at with charisma, then that's just more topics that you can contribute to. 2's good for now though, because beyond that it's all shaman type stuff. So more abilities like related to their spirit summoning here. The higher the skill, the more powerful the summon spirit. So yeah, this gives you more spellbook slots. At the 3rd point, you get a totem choice, which again lets you kind of changes your play style and what kind of buffs and stuff you can get. You can summon 2 spirit from the same summoning point, which is great. The more spirits, the better. Also, it's set up here, it calculates your chance to control spirits. How it works is when you're summoning a spirit, they are indeed very powerful and can last a long time. But spirits also have a tendency to break free from your control over time, because you're kind of forcing them into service. So every turn that you have a spirit out, they have a slowly increasing chance of breaking free from your control and attacking you. So that chance increases the more power you pull, the chance of them breaking free increases the more you ask of that spirit. So you can choose how many action points you want to get out of your spirit every turn, 1 to 3. So if you want to get 3 actions from them, say, the chance of them breaking free increases dramatically. So depending on how much risk you want to take and how desperate you are, you know, you should determine how you want to, how much risk you want to take on that. Spirit control. This goes kind of in tandem with spirit summoning. This will increase the chance that you maintain control of the spirits. So this is a must-have in my opinion. Not as much as spirit summoning itself, but you want to at least stay a point or two with behind spirit summoning in my opinion. And then conjuring. Almost done. Jeez. I'm sorry, guys. Conjuring is very important. I love conjuring spells because you can start summoning barriers. They're basically, they're not really obstacles per se, but they like change the terrain and make it so that if enemies decide that they want to get on a crucial spot that you put down these barriers on, they get affected by either damage or some sort of debuff or something like that, and it only gets better as you move along here. So definitely useful, especially if you want to do some battlefield manipulation. And I think that's pretty much it for the explanations here. It's going to be a long video. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and put some points into the stats that I really want points in. Let's put it in range combat. We definitely want points in that. Okay, I changed my mind. Let's not put it into range combat then. Let's put it into drone control? Yeah, let's do that. I think this is a pretty good setup. That gives us pretty good intelligence, drone control to start with, and a little bit of drone combat. We have summon charisma, so we're not totally barbaric. And then we have summon quickness here, so that we can actually shoot competently. And we have some body to give us some survivability. I think this is a pretty good character. Let's go ahead and confirm. And now we have to give our character a name. So many runners use a street name, handle, or working name. Names like Half-Jack or Lady Z. Others stick with their given name or adopt a nickname. Please choose a name for your character. So yeah, I like the handles that people generally have in the Shadowrun universe. They tend to be very like username-esque, so they kind of keep you anonymous. But yeah, it's not everyone's style. Some people, especially like if they're not really into the Matrix type stuff, they'll use like their regular name. But since my character is a rigger, he's probably fairly familiar with the Matrix to some degree at least. Let's give him an actual handle. Let me think. Well, I mean, I do have some rigging potential, so let's just go with my username. Interloper. Actually makes a lot of sense here. I'm a Shadowrunner as well. I do get into business that isn't really my own, you know? Let's do it. Confirm. I know, that was very unoriginal, but, you know, it fits for once. Fits a lot more than my name. O'clock in the morning. It's got 4 walls, a roof, and isn't on fire. Even the cockroaches have fled in search of better accommodations. Not exactly a runner's dream pad, but right now it's all about all you have left. Running the shadows is all about feast or famine. One day you're one day you're Nova Hot, working jobs that allow you to eat at 5-star restaurants. The next, well, you're here. This one's a famine for the ages. Slagging Fixer hasn't called. The money's run out and then some. Sinless and free. Free to starve in the cracks of a society run by megacorps who just want your new yen. Something needs to change and soon. So I'm sure you can tell the lingo's kind of you know, out there, maybe not obvious. So new yen is the currency in Shadowrun. I'm sure that you probably figured that out, but it's like new yen. It's a play on words. The game definitely has some like Asian references and stuff, which I like. Yeah, Novahot. I mean, they kind of hinted at it here, but like basically means like you're on a streak, like you're doing well. Um, Fixers basically like the people that give you jobs. They're like the anonymous characters that corporations or wealthy individuals will send will send to you to give you the jobs. So they can't be like, if you say you fail and you get incriminated, they're not like going to be at risk because they went through the process of trying to stay anonymous. So yep. Sinless sins are basically like your identification number. Everyone has these, and or almost everyone has these. It's kind of a way to keep you on the grid. Those that don't have these though, they generally because they like either sell them to people because these can be very valuable. Um, and if their sin is like worthless to them or would get them personally in trouble, a lot of people will use fake sins so they can, you know, keep themselves from getting caught when they're doing less than legal activities. So yeah. So obviously we don't have a sin because it's a sim that our character is a veteran shadow. Like our character is a like an experienced shadow runner. So obviously we've done some things that we shouldn't be doing. So we don't have a sin because that would just weigh us down. We're not a legit. I'm sorry, I keep getting. Yeah, we're basically not legit citizens in society. Not a lot of people are at this point. It's a very corrupt world that we live in. Um, so yeah, let's go ahead and continue. Your apartment 2054. It's 3 a.m. and you've got nowhere to go but down. This is what the game looks like. Nothing crazy special, but it's clean. It looks nice for what it is. This is actually made by a smaller company, I believe. Like they had only done like maybe 1 or 2 games before this. So all things considered, the game looks pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and end the episode here, though, guys, because this episode is like freaking long as hell. I did a lot of talking this episode. I just hope I wasn't too confusing. Please let me know in the comments or what have you. If you have any questions for me, I'll try to explain better there if I need to. But I'll keep, going through my thought process as we go through the game, because we still haven't seen anything yet. We just went through the character creation. So, as always, hope you guys enjoyed the episode. This is TheInterloper signing out. Have a good one.